Hello, sixth graders, and welcome to Monday. It is the 23rd. On Friday, we worked on dot plots. I had an example where I was talking about Travelocity flights and the amount of time it took to talk to somebody just to cancel your flight. Today, we're going to look at another way that we can present our data, which is called a histogram. Histograms are similar to dot plots, they're just presented in a slightly different way. When I start, I do the exact same thing. Always start with a statistical question. Friday, my statistical question was, how many hours did it take to talk to Travelocity? Today, my statistical question is, what were the math scores for my Chapter 10 test on area? That's the one we took just a week or two ago. I wanted to know, how did my students do on that test? So what I've got behind me is, these are the scores for Chapter 10 in one of my sixth grade classes. These are your scores. I had some students that scored 2, some students that scored 18, 20, 32, 35, 30. All of the scores for one of the classes is up here. Okay, now typically when I'm putting a histogram together, I have my data on one side. On the other side, I would put my histogram or my chart, okay, or my graph. I am actually going to erase this so that I can show you, but rest assured I've got these written down. I'll still be able to access this information. Okay, so when I set up my histogram, this should look a little bit familiar. Looks just like graphing, right? This is one of my quadrants. So I have an x-axis and a y-axis. My y-axis for my histogram typically is frequency. In this case, it wants to know, how often did students score the amount that I set on my x-axis, okay? So let's talk about x-axis first, and then we'll set our frequency increments. What I did is I took your data and I broke it up into groups of 10. And so I wanted to know how many students scored 0 to 9, how many students scored 10 to 18, how many students scored 19 to 27, and then the final one was how many students scored 27 all the way up to 36, which was a perfect score. The other thing I want to do when I do my histogram, any graph or plot for that case, make sure you label everything. So y-axis was frequency, x-axis is going to be scores on Chapter 10 test, and I'm just going to put area and 6, meaning sixth grade. Okay, so this is going to tell me how many students scored between 0 and 9. Now my frequency is that amount. When I looked at my data, I had 6 people score one of these. That's going to be the highest number that I'm going to go up to. So I'm actually going to label my y-axis. I only need to go to 6. So I'm going to start and do increments of 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now I'm ready to put my histogram together. So I go to my data, I count the number of students that scored 0 to 9. If you look back at my data, you'll see that 1 scored 2 and 1 scored 6. So there were only 2 students. So I'm going to take a bar to represent those 2 students. Sometimes you'll color those in to make it look nice and neat. I'm just going to do a little scribble mark so that I know that I'm done with that. Okay, then I move on to my next one, which is 10 to 18. I had a student score. 2 students scored 18, 1 scored 11, 1 scored 16. If you don't believe me, just hit the rewind button and you can go back a little bit. There were 4 total in this category. So here we go. Frequency of that is 4. Then I look at 19 to 27. There were 3 of you guys, 20, 22, and 26. So here I go to 3. And then my final one, I'm going to move this over just so it's kind of nice and the same. My last one was the guys that scored at the top of the class, okay, there were actually 6 of you that scored between a 30 and a 36. Nice job. That means you did well on my test, okay? So 27 to 36, I've got 6 up here, and then I am finished. Now, histogram, they're nice because it gives you a snapshot of what happened. If Miss Bargan came and said, Mr. Bauer, how did your students do on their Chapter 10 area test? I could create a histogram and say, hey, look at this. This is how they did. I had over here, I had 6 kids score between 27 and 36. Or I could say, oh man, I've had 2 kids that score 0 to 9. These guys might need to work on area just a little bit more because they haven't mastered that concept yet. Okay, this is a basic introduction to histograms. If you have questions, comments, you need a little extra help, please reach out and I will get back to you. My office hours, of course, are 9 to noon. At that point, I'm on my computer. I'll get back to you as quick as I can. If you need help outside of that time, email me. I'll still get back to you. It just might take me a little bit longer as I do activities with my family as well. We play racquetball, pickleball, things we need to do to clear our mind. I hope you guys are doing some of those same things. Get outside, enjoy the time that you're off, do a little recess. Okay, well for now guys, thank you for watching and I will see you tomorrow.